Hi there. I'm Jen Deal, Doctor of Business and Success Coach. Welcome to Redefining Success, where you are inspired to do you through eye-opening interviews and life lessons from yours truly. Today's episode is a little bit different. I have received some bits of feedback, which I thoroughly enjoy. This is new for me. This entire podcast thing is new. And so I'm learning as I go. And I want to provide something that is of service to you, so of value to you, that you get something out of this podcast. So gosh, any feedback I thoroughly enjoy, and I try to improve all of the time. We're constantly learning and growing. And that's part of the purpose of this podcast as well, to redefine success. And so this episode is a little different. It's a Q&A session. And I got quite a few questions that I'm going to answer on this episode. You know, and this is weird, this episode talking a lot about me. So I really hope that you gain something from listening to me talking about me so much. It makes me feel a little uncomfortable, but it's okay. We're going to make it through and it's going to be great. The other piece of feedback I received was it sounded like I was reading. And I will tell you, the first introduction that I did, the 2-minute intro, the very first episode, I was reading. And so if it sounded like I was reading, it's because I was. And so I'm trying to be more raw, less scripted. And even with the interviews, I'm not as scripted. I've got my questions that I always ask my interviewees, and we go from there. And so that's not really scripted. It's more of the questions. But I just want to make sure that I'm appealing to the audience and providing some valuable information as part of this podcast. So I really appreciate all your feedback there. So we'll go ahead and get started on this week's Ask Me Anything episode. First, the question came in from a lovely lady from New York. Actually, 2 questions from her. What do I love most about my work? And as you know, I am a doctor in business. I always say that I have my doctoral degree in business, and I always say business so that people don't get confused and don't think I'm a medical doctor, because I would never want to mislead anyone. But I was a chief executive and transitioned into my role as a success coach. And really, this is where my passion lies, is using my gifts to serve others. So what do I love most about my work is using my gifts to serve. And I'm constantly learning what exactly those gifts are. It's not like something happens and all of a sudden we know our life's purpose and that's it and here we go. But I have a good idea of what my gifts are and how I'm using these gifts to serve. One powerful gift I have is intuition. My intuition really, really kicks in when I'm with people, when I'm working with my clients. I know how they're feeling. I'm very empathetic and pretty much know just what to say to set the session in motion and really take some action. So I'm really, really a good people person, very intuitive, very empathetic. And so this role as a success coach, life coach, happiness coach really fits me, and my clients and I have a wonderful relationship because of it. So another thing I love about my work is my creativity. As a CPA, CFO, you really don't want the words creativity and accounting in the same sentence. If that happens, then there's something wrong. And so I really am enjoying this opportunity for creativity, whether it's customizing sessions with my clients, whether it is designing graphics. No, I've got Lauren, my marketing person, my marketing wizard guru for that. But I really get to, when it comes to writing blogs and things like that, use my creative skills. And I'm having fun with that, as well as writing a book that I'm working on. Flexibility and freedom. We all want that. I realized I no longer want the 9-to-5. I know many of us, they no longer want the 9-to-5 also, but it's really true that if that is not your thing and you're wanting to have more flexibility in your schedule, more freedom in your work, totally doable. You can jump on the entrepreneurial path and really do what you enjoy. And that's one of my main services as a success coach, is helping people to really find what they enjoy doing without it feeling like a job. What drives me to do what I do? You know, it's very simple. It just feels right. I love all of the things I just mentioned about loving what I do. And in addition to that, driving me to do this is that it just feels right. You know, when you're doing something that feels right. And if you're in a job that you're unhappy with, or a relationship that you're unhappy with, you know. So that's what drives me to do what I do, as well as all of the other things I mentioned, the flexibility, the freedom, the creativity, and obviously the biggest thing is using my gifts to serve. How does attitude play a role in success? attitude is huge because I have really been hearing this lately that there are employers would rather hire people for their attitude than their skills. For example, you want to hire someone that has a positive attitude and can learn the skills rather than someone that has the skills but has a bad attitude. And so attitude is huge as part of a role in success. And I've been blessed and fortunate to have a positive attitude my entire life. Don't get me wrong. I am not always happy. I have had my ups and downs as any human would. We have our emotions. I have bad days. But for the most part, in general, I've always had a very positive attitude. And I believe that has played a huge role in my success. And I'm not sure if this was why the person asked the question, but also speak to confidence. If you're confident in what you're doing and you're passionate in what you're doing, that also plays a huge role in success. Another question, what is my stand on mental toughness in regards to succeeding? So I was thinking about these words, mental toughness, when I read this question and trying to think about how I interpret mental toughness. And so what really came to mind was being able to protect ourselves from mental overflow or emotions, which I think is unnecessary. So I would say first, relinquish this control of having this mental toughness. Situations that you do not need to control. It's an inefficient use of time. And I can give you a prime example. I am a realtor. I'm a licensed realtor. And my friends all joke with me that I'm a CPA, doctor of business, that I'm always doing something and learning and going. And so they joke that the next day I'm going to be getting my pilot's license. And I've had my house listed on the market for a few months now. Plans of moving, selling the house. The house is not sold. I have not had nearly as much traffic as I would have liked to have had. I blamed it on a hurricane. I blamed it on the holidays. And what I came to realize is that I don't have time to do real estate. And so I was trying to save the money on the commission and all of those things, but I'm relinquishing control of this. Yes, I have my license. Yes, once I move, I may be able to do this. And the whole reason I was trying to do real estate in the beginning was to try and, first of all, pay off some student debt. As you can imagine, I have gone to school for a very long time and had some student loans in that time period. And the other thing was to show people that salespeople, it's a stereotype of salespeople and realtors and things like that. And I wanted to show that there are people out there that have positive intention and good intentions. So that was another reason I received my realtor's license. So the point of this relinquishing control is that I have chosen to list my house with another agent and relinquish that worry. I no longer have to be in control of this. Yes, I have to pay the commission, but is it worth it to me? Heck, yes, it is worth it to me to relinquish this control. So that's just one example. I'm sure the people listening can think of any other example where you feel like you have to do it because you can. But if it's not proving successful, or if it's an inefficient use of your time, or you're just not enjoying it, relinquish the control. It's no problem. The other thing I was going to say about this mental toughness is release the worry. I've always talked to my clients and friends and loved ones, and even in the past episode, about anxiety and worry. And there is no reason to worry. Worry doesn't help us solve anything. And I know that is not something that can immediately take away the worry. But if you really think about worrying about something and how that serves you, it's not serving you. So just constantly think about that, and that may help you to release the worry. So if you're getting a new job, or you have an interview, or there's something coming up where you're worried, obviously we'd have this adrenaline going, but let's reframe it and let's say that's what it is. I'm excited for this opportunity. I'm not nervous. I'm not anxious. I'm not worried. I'm excited, because there's this fine line between anxiety, worry, excitement. And if we keep telling ourselves we're excited, then it's just a whole nother mindset, and it just makes us so much more productive. Lastly, with the mental toughness, I wanted to say, take a well-deserved break. It took me years of stress, panic, and anxiety to realize my body was telling me I needed a break. So take that break. Whether you feel that you want the break, you need the break, and give your body a little bit of love and take a well-deserved break from the mental toughness. Someone else asked, what was my aha moment? I did mention this in a previous episode about anxiety. I discussed it a little bit. Really, the anxiety. I was really suffering from panic and anxiety, and that is what brought me to this aha moment that I was completely stressed out. I was worrying and panicking beyond belief, and I was unhappy. And I realized there was more to life than the robotic way of living, of eating, sleeping, repeat that I always talk about. There's just more to life than that. And that was really my aha moment, was getting out of that robotic way of living and realizing that I could be happy doing something I enjoy doing. It does not have to be a 9 to 5. It does not have to be everything according to societal standards. And so that was really my aha moment. When I came through that anxiety, I began meditating. And so I think it was a buildup to the moment. And I think I've been learning and growing since then. But that anxiety is really, my body told me what I needed to do. Another question that came through was, if I could tell myself one thing I know now that I did not know when I was beginning my career, what would it be? Great question. And this really goes back to my happiness. I did not know how important my happiness was. I thought everyone else's happiness was more important than my own happiness. I thought I was being genuine and a good person by helping others before I'd help myself. And now I have this saying that in order to be your best self to others, you must first be your best self to you. And I truly, truly believe that. And it's really coming from me down to the people pleasing. So I call myself a recovering people pleaser. I was all about people pleasing, achieving, and doing things that I thought others wanted, relying on that external validation. And so that was the thing I would really, if I could tell anyone, what makes you happy? Think about it. Ask yourself the question, what makes you happy? Stop putting everyone else first. Stop thinking that that is the most kind thing that you can do, because really the kindest thing you can do is be kind to yourself, because then that will roll off and absorb and spread to others. I promise you. I love that question. I'm so passionate about that topic. I may have to do another episode on people pleasing. So how do we focus on success, but also live in the moment and enjoy the present? This is difficult. This has really been a part of my current curriculum. And, I read that book, the 10% Happier book, and it says, if you put one foot in the past and one foot in the future, you will piss on the present. Hope I didn't offend anyone there, but it's true. If you're so focused on your past or your future, then you're not focused on the present. And it's a task. It is not easy to always be focusing on the present. And sometimes we have to plan for the future, but I'm getting better at this. And I know that I only have 2 hands. And what I've really come to find out is taking those breaks that I talk about, giving ourselves those well-deserved breaks. And sometimes we may even have to add those breaks to the to-do list. Literally laying by the pool for an hour for me is going to be part of my to-do list now. And I don't feel guilty about it because I know I need it. And so focusing on at that time, maybe I'm meditating, maybe I'm laying by the pool and actually listening, looking. What do you hear? What do you see? Do you hear the birds, the planes flying over? Do you hear the wind in the trees and the leaves blowing on the ground? When you're driving to work, what do you see? What do you hear? Sometimes I purposely drive with no music, with no sound, which is kind of strange. We grew up in this society where there always has to be some kind of noise. Life in general, it seems like there always has to be some noise. Take that time to really focus, be in the present. What do you see without judgment of anything? The color of the cars, houses you may have never noticed. That's something a block away I didn't know was there for over a year. That my husband will say, oh yeah, that's been there for a year. And I didn't notice because I wasn't focused in the present. So it's just finding that balance. We have to plan our future, but we also have to come back, even if it requires making time, putting it on the list to be in the present. How important is it to set boundaries with work life and personal balance? And what's the biggest piece of advice for making sure you have a healthy balance? This is so critical. And this is also kind of plays into that focusing on the present moment that we were just speaking to. But it's so important because I wasn't good at setting boundaries. It was pretty much my work life and my work life and my work life. And that was it. And my poor husband and dogs would suffer because of that. And so now I make sure that I find that balance, even if it's writing down my schedule for the week and making sure that everybody's in the loop on what's going on with my work life and making sure that I make time for that personal life and not scheduling things for the personal balance, including personal into my work. Sometimes they can be combined and you can work together and they don't have to be completely separate things. So if we don't create this balance, then it can impact our relationships. Sometimes we're so focused on the future, that prize to even notice that we're not focused on the present, that we're not giving the proper attention to our personal life and relationships. And unfortunately, we have to, because we may not realize it until it's too late. Either we become burnout from all the work that we've done, or a relationship has unfortunately ended because of it. And so that's powerful. And also for our sanity, our mental sanity, having that break. We cannot work. It's just inefficient. It is really inefficient. I know people, I have a client of mine that just enjoys working all day long, thinks they enjoy the stress of working all day long, but your body will catch up to you. And it's not productive. You will end up with a half-assed product. Working with no breaks all day long, you will not have a good product in the end. That's everything I have today. So I hope you really enjoyed this new session. If you have any other ideas for the podcast, every other week is me telling my story, talking about a topic, or doing this Q&A, and then every other are the interviews to get everyone's different perspective on this idea of success and how it's always individual and it does not have to meet or align with societal standards. So if you love this podcast, please subscribe. I'd love for you to reach out to me. I really enjoy hearing from folks. So shoot me an email at jdeal@jendeal.net. If you love this podcast, then subscribe and leave a great review. I will talk to you soon. Much love. Bye for now.